The Spartans were known for their incredible war tactics that helped them win many battles. They were a formidable force that struck fear into their enemies. Their military tactics were innovative and effective, and some of them are still studied and used today.
This video is brought to you by Bullet Class, a free multiplayer mobile game. You can download the game for free today from Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Download Bullet Class today.
Here are 10 incredible innovative war tactics used by Spartans. The phalanx formation. The phalanx formation was one of the most effective tactics used by the Spartans. It involved soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder with their shields overlapping, forming a wall of protection. This formation allowed the Spartans to move as a unit and advance towards their enemies, making it difficult for the enemy to break through. The use of short swords. The Spartans used short swords, also known as xiphos, which were about 60 centimeters long. These swords were effective in close combat and allowed the Spartans to move quickly and strike with precision. They were also easy to carry and didn't get in the way during battle. Surprise attacks. The Spartans were known for their surprise attacks. They would often attack at night or in the early morning when their enemies were least expecting it. This tactic allowed them to catch their enemies off guard and gain the upper hand in battle. The use of terrain. The Spartans were skilled at using the terrain to their advantage. They would often choose battlefields that gave them the high ground or had natural barriers that would protect their flanks. This tactic allowed them to control the battlefield and make it difficult for their enemies to attack. Training from childhood. The Spartans were trained from childhood to be warriors. They were taught discipline, endurance, and the art of war. This training allowed them to become skilled soldiers and gave them an advantage over their enemies who were not trained from a young age. The use of fear. The Spartans were known for their intimidating appearance and fierce reputation. They would often shout and make loud noises during battle, which would scare their enemies. This tactic allowed them to gain the upper hand and strike fear into the hearts of their enemies. The use of cavalry. The Spartans were not known for their cavalry, but they did use them in battle. They would often use their cavalry to flank their enemies and attack from the rear. This tactic allowed them to catch their enemies off guard and gain the upper hand in battle. The use of peltas. Peltas were light infantry soldiers who were armed with javelins and shields. The Spartans would often use them to harass their enemies and disrupt their formations. This tactic allowed them to weaken their enemies before engaging them in battle. The use of diplomacy. The Spartans were skilled at using diplomacy to their advantage. They would often form alliances with other city-states to gain an advantage in battle. This tactic allowed them to strengthen their army and gain the support of other city-states. The use of espionage. The Spartans were known for their use of espionage. They would often send spies into enemy territory to gather information about their enemies. This tactic allowed them to gain valuable intelligence and plan their attacks accordingly. In conclusion, the Spartans were skilled warriors who used innovative tactics to win battles. Their military strategies were ahead of their time and are still studied and used today. Their legacy lives on as one of the greatest military forces in history.